Well, this was unexpected. Helion have just released 1.13, and I mean, they did have it on the experimental for a while. I didn't expect them to bring it out this quickly, but here it is. Their latest and, quite frankly, biggest update in a long time. This overhaul is mostly to do with the galaxy, the story missions, and POIs, new planets, and things like that. They say that the story mission, the main game, is now finished. This concludes the story. Something I didn't think would ever be done, and here we are. So they say, at least, anyway. Obviously, it's going to take a little bit of a play to see where that story goes and whether it's, you know, a satisfying end to everything. But, you know, this looks good. I'm reading through the update notes, and there's a lot of good stuff here. And they've been pretty thorough, I think, you know, with the various scenarios and stuff, from the single-player scenario to the default multiplayer. They reworked the whole galaxy. Again, they've reworked a number of planets. They've reworked a number of missions. Again, they've added more POIs and more things to explore, and they've moved things around and put stuff somewhere and changed things here, there, and everywhere. And you know, you can go through these patch notes. They're not incredibly long, and they're quite easy to get through. But some highlights for you. I mean, like I said, the main story, complete. Operation Phoenix Lost and Found is, I think, the new storyline. And then Terminal Nexus, I think, is the last bit, which is a 5-part story campaign. Terminal Nexus is for the Talon and Talon AR. You know, it's been so long since I played Vanilla, I have no idea who the Talon AR is. I guess they're a branch of the Talon, of course. Probably the advanced ones with all the tech and stuff like that. And they've divided the stories up based on what starting planet you get. You still get Akua, Ningwes, Masperon, Skillion. You've also got the Ashen one, which isn't new anymore, but is, you know, is quite unique and pretty cool. You start up in a space wreck in orbit, and that's quite cool. And there's another one as well. And this sounds really interesting. This is Contact Point Alpha. And it's like a war zone starting position. It's for hardcore players, veteran players, and it's on an arid planet. But there's a battle between several alien factions going on, and you're in the middle of it, basically. Multiple patrol vessels, loads of drones, hostile wildlife, toxic atmosphere, radiated radiated fog, and no crash site protection. So the second you land, you could get attacked, you could get shot, you could get killed immediately. So certainly not for the faint of heart, and certainly not for the beginner player, but potentially very challenging and interesting for players like me. And in fact, what you're seeing in the background here is exactly that start. It's exactly that scenario. The Galaxy rework, I mentioned it. They've increased the density. 17 new star types. Double star systems, which, you know, I will point out the Reforged Eden scenario has had for a while now. 9 new nebulae. They've reworked the layouts of star systems, so there's different chances for play fields, distances, dedicated warp-in sectors, that sort of thing. It could make getting around the galaxy a little bit more interesting and, well, a little bit more thought out. There's new regions in the galaxy: the core, inner and outer galactic arms, low-density mid-galaxy, and periphery stars, dwarf galaxies as well. There are region markers to help with navigation and orientation. 2 regions allowing to spawn in local challenge playfields. I'm not sure what local challenge playfields is, but, you know, we'll maybe find out. There's a bunch of new playfields. Some of them are work in progress still. Some of them are just sort of sketches, they call them. So the Onyx Progenitor, which is part of the story. You've got Carbon Plateau, Hothouse, Nitrogen Volcanic, Temperate Prairie, Moon Ice Dusted, Nitrogen Ice and its orbit, Radiated Ice, Lava Collided 1 and 2, Lava Ocean, Barren, Cooled, and 2 dedicated space playfields and taxid asteroids close to radiated stars. Basically, work in progress and sketch means that they are very much subject to change. All these new star types actually could occur in various regions of the galaxy. They might not actually all be all over the place. You want to find a particular star type, you might have to go to a particular region of the galaxy. So this might actually sort of really encourage a little bit more exploration and travel throughout the galaxy. They've also redistributed the resources. Higher tier materials are on lava planets, And they're only really going to be found at protostars and young systems or dying stars. You might get lucky and find a lava planet in a standard system, but they generally occur more in those ones. You're really going to have to think about where the resources are going to be now. Essentially, it looks like the higher tier resources come with danger. You know, they're really increasing the sort of the fight that you have to do in order to get the higher tech. Potential fix to an old problem that is a bit of a pet peeve of mine is that they've made adjustments to the turret AI targeting, which now means that turrets will now check for a new target immediately when their old target has been killed. That is fantastic, because often you'd kill a drone and there's a swarm of drones around your ship, and you'd have to wait 20 minutes for the turrets to actually go, oh, there are more enemies. Now it looks like they might actually lock on and go a lot quicker, which is nice. There's a bunch of new icons, but I think they added them in previous updates and stuff. But in this one, they've added a bunch more icons as well. Now they've re-overhauled their official servers as well, and a number of fixes, which is always nice to see. Look at this one. The HUD still displays under 10% ore after deposit is depleted by a vessel or laser drill. Yay! The amount of times we've come across deposits that say 10% on them to find nothing there. Oh my gosh, lovely. So a lot of changes that, well, they'll probably require a fair old dedicated amount of playtime to even get into and realize and see these changes. You know, the changes like where resources are in the galaxy and how the galaxy has changed and stuff like that. Ultimately, from these patch notes, I don't see anything that's really going to impact the way the game plays. There's nothing changing how ships behave or perform. There's no rebalancing of weapons or you know, hit points of anything. No rebalancing of power levels, thrust levels, or anything like that. So as far as your ships are concerned and blueprints are concerned, they will perform just as they always have done. And that does mean that you can pretty much win the game with a starter CV, you know, just by spinning around really fast. Still, there's something charming about vanilla play. You know, the progression is so much faster, and you can get through the game a lot quicker. And well, if you just want to motor through the story, that's great. But if you want a sort of more long-term empire building kind of experience, then you're probably still going to be looking at a custom scenario. And what does this release really mean as well for the future of Empyrion? Are the developers back at it, and we're going to see another update after another update after another update, and they're back into some more momentum with updating the game? Or does this signal the kind of, yeah, we're kind of done now, you know, that I suspect might be the case? They're concluding the story, which is usually like the last part of any game development. What we might see from Empyrion now is just housekeeping. Of course, I really hope that's not the case. But then I have hoped for many years for considerable updates to such as the game's economy, for example, among many, many other things, as many of you have as well. Of course, the still #1 requested feature of Empyrion Galactic Survival is being able to move around on a ship that's flying, so that when your buddy's in the pilot seat having all the fun, you can actually get up and do something. Of course, that's never going to happen because the engine that Empyrion is based on just isn't capable of it, or at least it's not capable of it with regards to everything else that's going on in Empyrion. Still, it's a nice update. I can't fault them for this. There's some really nice things in here that will help make the galaxy a little bit more varied, a little bit more alive and interesting to explore, and reason to explore as well. And I'm a massive fan of a masochist starting planet. But that's good too. So in conclusion, really don't expect anything groundbreaking. This update is mostly about some really nice crossing of T's and dottings of I's. And in time, we'll see how the story plays out, and we'll see how the galaxy changes play out. Right now, they're on paper and they sound good. The new start here that you can see in the background as I yammer on is playing really nicely. I like the fact that I'm having to stay on my toes with drones, keep an eye out for patrol vessels, and really try and pick my moves and where I can go. Finding shelter fairly early on is nice, and the fact that they give you a sniper rifle off the bat, well, as you can see, saved my life. So, you know, it seems to be quite nicely balanced for a little bit more of a high octane start. Resources around the area are plentiful and conveniently located, so you can get going straight away. I'm not starving, I'm not running out of oxygen, and I found a little hut to turn into my home until I can get mobile. all in all, I'm just a little bit more on edge, but it's the same as usual. And because they've been pretty thorough with this release, once I'm done with this planet, I can go into my PDA and enable the story missions and go into the story that they have now finished, and we can see where that goes. But for now, I think I'm just going to enjoy this new hard start. As soon as I get myself in an SV, I'm going to take down all these patrol vessels and loot them. Wahaha. If you're interested, I have a server running for my Patreon, YouTube members, Twitch subscriber community. And this is running the default multiplayer. Unfortunately, the single player scenario with all the story elements in it doesn't really work in multiplayer. So you have to run the default multiplayer scenario, which has no story in it whatsoever. However, it has the new galaxy and all the new planets and stuff like that, so you can experience the galaxy as single player, just, you know, invent your own stories, I guess, and play on. But if that interests you and you want to hang out with some like-minded people and enjoy the game once more, all you do is sign up to either Patreon, Twitch sub, and that does include Prime, or YouTube channel member. That's that join button down below this video. Head over to my Discord, link your account up, and access the server information and log in right there. I paywall these servers just because they cost hundreds a month to rent, and I just need to cover the costs. That's all. The same subscription will give you access to all my other servers, including Empyrion, V Rising, 7 Days to Die, and Ark. All the details, like I say, are on my Discord. And not only will you be getting access to exclusive servers, my exclusive builds, Discord channels that you can chat with fellow supporters in, you'll also be really helping me out, like massively helping me out, and the channel, of course. So thank you for that. So, is Empyrion back? What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. And what are your general thoughts about this update? Are you very like meh, or are you excited to start a new playtest and see where the game takes you this time? Either way, I want to hear from you down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Hopefully I'll see you soon. Till then, take care. Bye bye.